Hello, thank you for stopping by. I'm Tim Tokwe. In today's tutorial, I'm going to be teaching you how to go about this built-up collar, the bustier, and also the hourglass effect on the blouse. So if this is what you're interested in, you want to continue watching this video. I'm also going to be teaching you how to get the perfect measurements for your collar and also how to snatch your waist without it being too tight or too loose. So if this is what you're interested in, let's get started. So don't forget to like this video, subscribe to this channel, and also turn on your notification bell. The first part we are going to be drafting is the back part. So I'm going to take my tape now, measure from the top of my pattern paper. I'm going to be measuring 3 inches. So I'm going to measure these 3 inches all the way down. And then I'm going to take my ruler and draw a straight line across it. So this 3 inches is going to be serving as the allowance for the collar. After marking this, I'm also going to take my tape and measure 1 inch on the side here. So this is going to be serving as the zipper allowance. So I'm going to be measuring it all the way down, and I'm also going to be ruling a straight line across it. So this is going to be my starting line, and from this starting line I'm going to be measuring my bust point, which is 9 inches, and then I'm going to be measuring my under bust. This is 12 inches. Then I'm going to be taking my half length, which is 13 inches. So my half length for the back is different from that of the front, so you have to take this measurement separately. So measure from your shoulder to your waistline at the back, and your shoulder, I'm also measure from your shoulder to your waistline at the front to get your half length for the front and that of the back. So because it's not equal, and I'll be needing that measurement for this bustier blouse. After marking my half length, I'm going to be marking my blouse length, and the blouse length is 22 inches. So I'm going to go ahead and mark that. But for this back part, we are not going to be using exactly the 22 inches. I'm going to be coming up by 1.5 inches. This is because the difference between my half length for the back and that of the front is 1.5. So that's why I came back up by 1.5 inches. So that by the time I'm joining the front to the back, it's going to align. But you're going to understand this better by the time I draft the front part. So now I'm going to go ahead and mark 20.5 inches instead of this 22 inches. So is this 20.5 that we are going to be using for the length of the back part. So now I'm going to take my ruler now and draw a straight line across each of these points. So this will be the blouse length. So now at the starting line here, I'm going to place my tape here, and now we are going to be getting the neck measurement. So to get your perfect neck measurement, you are not just going to use 3 inches or anything. You are just going to divide your bust measurement by 12. So this will give you your perfect neck width. So mine bust is 34 inches. So divided by 12, I have 2.8. So I'm going to be marking 2.8 on my tape now. So to do that, I'm going to be marking in between the 2 3/4 mark and the next stroke. So that is going to give me my 2.8. So I'm going to mark that. Next, I'm going to be dividing my shoulder measurement into 2. So I'm going to divide that, and this is what it gives me. I'm going to mark it. Then from this point, I'm going to come down by 1 inch, and then I'm going to be connecting this to the neckline this way. So from this shoulder slope now, I'm going to be getting my neck depth, and to get that, I'm going to be dividing my bust measurement by 6, and then I'll add 1.5 to it. So that will give me my neck, my armhole depth. So this point, I'm going to draw a straight line across it, and this is going to be my chest line. So from this shoulder slope, I'll just connect to this chest line, and this is my armhole depth. So now on this armhole depth, you are going to locate the middle, and when you locate the middle, you will now come in by 1/4 of an inch. Don't forget that we are drafting the back part, so because this is the back part, that's why you came in by 1/4 of an inch. So on the chest line now, you are going to divide your bust measurement into 4. So I'm going ahead to do that for mine. So now I'm going to be connecting these 3 points together. So you can see the way I place my curve. So what we are going to do now is to now draft the collar part. After drafting the neck, so we are going to draft the collar part. So to do this, on this point, I'm going to be coming up by 1.5 inches. So that's going to be the height for my collar. So if you want yours to be higher than mine, you can make it 2 inches. Then on this other side also, I'm going to be coming up by 1.5 inch. Then I'm going to use my ruler to draw the line also. So now on this side here, I'm going to be coming in by 1/4 inch towards the shoulder area. Then at the upper part here, I'm going to be coming out by 1/2 inch. So now I'm going to be connecting from this 1/2 inch to the 1/4 inch here. So now I'm going to use my curve and then place it this way. And then I'm going to connect to the 1/4 inch there. So this way I have connected my collar to my shoulder. So now on this other side here, I'm going to be coming down by 1/2 inch. And then I'm going to place my curve like this and then connect it this way. Then I'm just going to extend from this point to the zipper allowance. So this is going to be all for the back part. It is this simple. Next, I'm going to be placing my dart measurement. So I'm going to be using half of my nipple to nipple measurement for my dart line. So I'm going to be, half of my nipple to nipple measurement is 3 inches. So I'm going to be marking this on the bust point, on the under bust line, the waistline, and also on the blouse length line. So I'm going to go ahead and use my ruler to connect these lines with a straight line. So at this point, I'm going to go ahead and label this so that we don't get confused. So this is my under bust, my waistline, and this is the blouse length line. So now on the waistline, I'm going to be placing my darts there. So I'm going to be using 1/2 inch on both sides to place the dart, and then I'm going to be connecting it towards the bust point. So I'm going to take my ruler and connect this. Then from the waistline also, I'm going to be connecting downward, but I'm going to come up from my blouse length by 1.5 inch. Then I'm going to connect from the waistline to this 1.5 inch, just like this. So now I'm going to be taking my under bust measurement because I already took the bust measurement. So I'll divide my under bust measurement into 4. I'm going to go ahead and mark it. But this under bust, I'm going to be tightening it. And I said earlier that I'm going to teach you how to go about it so that it will not be too tight. So I'm going to do this. I'm going to be deducting 1/4 inch. I'm going to go in by 1/4 inch so as to tighten my under bust. So this way it will not be too tight and it will still snatch. Then I'm going to measure what I have for my dart intake here, and then I'm going to be placing it back. Then on my waistline, I'm going to divide my waist measurement into 4. I'm going to mark that. So to snatch the waist also, I'm going to be going in by 1/4 inch. So if you should deduct 1/4 inch, it's not going to be too tight and it's still going to snatch your waist. So now I'm going to be marking the allowance for the dart here, and I'm going to be placing this back. So now on the hip line, I'm going to be dividing my hip measurement on the blouse line. The blouse length line, I'm going to be dividing my hip measurement into 4. I'll mark that. Then I'm going to be adding 4 extra inches, and this is what is going to give me the hourglass effect. So now I'm going to go ahead and use my curve rule to connect these points. So now I'm going to be bringing this particular curve rule. Then I'm going to be placing from my waistline to that 4 inches mark like this. You can see the way I'm placing my curve rule. So I'm going to place it this way. So this is how you can see that it's already giving the hourglass effect. So from here, I'm going to be going up by 4 inches. I'm going to mark that, and then with my curve again, I'm going to be connecting to the center line like this. So now I'm going to be cutting off this part. So on this waistline, I'm going to be taking 1/2 inch at this zipper area here like this. This is to eliminate the zip bulge so that I don't have my zip bulging at the center there. So that's why I'm taking out this 1/2 inch. So I'm just connecting it upward and downward like this. So now this is that. So to make this easier, I'm going to be adding the same allowance. So I'm going to be using 1.5 inches all the way around for the same allowance, so that by the time I'm cutting my pattern, I'll not be adding any seam allowance again because I already added it to my pattern. So I'm going to take my curve again and connect from that waistline, just like I did earlier, to the allowance here also, so that I can still get my hourglass effect. And I'm just going to extend the line to the allowance part. So this the dart for this bag is going to be a princess dart. So I'm just going to place my curve here on my bust point, as you see me do, to the middle of my armhole. So I'm just going to connect it like this, and this is going to be all for the back pattern. So I'm just going to go ahead and cut it out. So next we are going to be drafting the front part now. So to draft the front part, what we did earlier, just we did as to the back. I'm going to be marking 3 inches all the way at the upper part. This is going to serve as the allowance for the collar. So now I'm going to place my tape at the starting line here, and then mark my bust point, which is 9 inches, my under bust, which is 12 inches, and then my half length, which is 14.5. Remember, we are drafting the front part now. So my half length for this one, for the front part, is 14.5. It's different from that of the back. And then the blouse length, which is 22 inches. So I'm going to go ahead now and draw a straight line across each of these points. So at the starting line here, I'm going to be taking the neck measurement. So I'm going to be using the same thing I used for the back, which is 2.8. So I'm going to go ahead and mark it. So guys, they took the light and I just have to resume after the body light. So sorry about that. So now I'm going to be taking my shoulder measurement. So my shoulder measurement is divided by 2. I'm going to mark it there. And from this point, I'm going to come down by 1 inch, and then I'm going to be connecting it to the neck area. So now from this neck shoulder slope, I'm going to take my armhole depth, which is 7.25. I get this by dividing my bust into 6, and then I added 1.5 inches to it, just like we did to the back. So now I'm going to connect from this shoulder slope to the chest line, and this will be my armhole depth. So now on this armhole depth, this armhole line, you are going to locate the middle. And at the middle, you are going to be coming in by 1/2 inch. Remember that for the back, we came in by 1/4 inch. So for this front part, you are going to be coming in by 1/2 inch. Then on the chest line, I'm going to be dividing my bust measurement into 4. I've gone ahead to mark that. And then I'm going to place my curve like this to connect my armhole. So now we can draft the collar part. So on this neck area now, on this part, I'm going to be going up by 1.5, 1.5 inches. So now I'm going to rule this upward. Then from this 1.5 inches, I'm going to be coming towards the shoulder line by 1/4 inch. And at this upper part here, I'm going to be coming out by 1/2 inch. So now I'm going to connect from this 1/2 inch to the 1/4 inch. So I'm going to use my curve and place it this way, and then I'm going to be connecting from the 1/2 inch to the 1/4 inch. This way I've joined my collar to the shoulder part. So now what I'm going to be doing next is from this starting line, I'm going to be marking how open I want my chest to be. So I'm using 6 inches here. So now I'm going to take my curve and place it on this point. You can see the way I'm placing it, and then place in such a way that it touches a 6 inches mark in a V manner. You can see the way I place the curve. So you want to go ahead and do the same. So now I'm going to mark it this way to touch the 6 inches mark. You can see the way I place it. So this is going to be all for the collar part. So now I'm going to measure this collar area. I just want to confirm if what I have here is equal with what I have for the back. So here I have 5.5. So I'm going to bring the back part also and then measure it, so as to be sure that I have the same thing, so that by the time I join it, everything is going to align. So I have 5.5 here too, so there's really no problem. But in case if yours, by the time you did yours and the front part is shorter than that of the back, then you have to just do one thing. So instead of coming at this upper part, instead of coming out by half inch, so it can come out by 3/4 of an inch. This way you are going to be able to extend the length of the neck to shoulder area. So then you are going to connect it back to the 1/4 of an inch mark. So that's all you need to do. So I'm just going to go ahead and label the line so that we don't get confused. And this is the blouse length. So now I'm going to be placing my darts. So I'm going to be using on my bust points, I'm going to be using half of my nipple to nipple measurement, which is 3 inches. I'm going to be marking it on my under bust waistline and also on the blouse length. And then I'm going to be connecting all these points with my ruler. So now the under bust part, on this side I'm going to be taking half inch as my dart, and on the other side I'm going to be taking 1/4 inch, and then I'm going to be connecting it towards the bust point. But from the bust point I'm going to come down by 1 inch. Then I'm going to connect from my armhole to this 1 inch mark, and then I'm going to take my curve and connect from my under bust to this 1 inch mark also before the bust point. So now I'm going to be marking what I mark on my under bust also on my waistline. Then I'm going to be connecting this with a ruler here and also on the other side. So now I realize that it is not equal, so I'm going to be remarking that my dart on my under bust line. So now I'm going to mark 1/4. So that means I didn't mark exactly 1/4 earlier. So I'm just going to reconnect it with my curve. And then I'm going to be marking 1/4 also on the waistline. So I'm going to connect this with my ruler. And now I'm going to be connecting it towards the blouse length. So on the blouse length line, I'm going to come up by 1.5 inch. And then I'm going to connect from the waistline to this point, just like you see me do. So now I'm going to place my curve rule. I'm going to place it at the 1 inch that I came down by on the bust point, and then I'm going to be connecting it to the middle of my armhole. So this is going to form my dart. Then I'm going to be taking the shoulder, the armhole dart. I'm going to be using 1 inch there, and then I'm going to be using my curve to also connect it back to this point. Then I'm going to try to extend it a little bit here. So now if I should go ahead and cut out these darts, there's going to be a shortage. So the armhole for this front part will not be equal with that of the back. So to correct that, I'm going to be placing this 1 inch that I took as my dart. This second line here, I'm going to be placing that 1 inch on this second line. And this way I'll have to reconstruct my armhole. So there is a dart on this chest line. So I'm going to measure that. I have 1/4 of an inch there. And I'm going to be marking that on my chest line. So now I'm going to reconstruct this armhole from this new line to my chest line this way. So this is going to be my new armhole. So now I'm going to be taking the other side measurement. So on my under bust, I'm going to be dividing my under bust into 4. So I'm going to mark that. And just like I tightened the back, I'm going to be tightening this front part also. So to tighten it, I'm going to be going in by 1/4 of an inch. And then I'm going to mark that. Then I'm going to measure what I have for this dart, the dart intake here. I'm going to measure it. Then I'm going to be placing it back here. Then on my waistline, I'm also going to be dividing my waist measurement into 4. I'm going to go ahead and mark it. Then I'm also going to be snatching the waist. So I'm going to be coming in by 1/4 of an inch to snatch the waist. So now I'm going to be measuring what I have for my dart intake. So I'm going to be placing that back here. Now on the hip line, or the blouse length line, I'm going to be dividing my hip measurement into 4. I'm going to go ahead and mark that. And then I'm going to be putting an extra 4 inches mark here for the hourglass effect. So now I'm going to use my curve to connect these lines. So now I'm going to use this other curve to connect from my waistline to that 4 inches mark, just like this. Please note the way I'm placing my curve so that you can get the hourglass effect. So from from this length now I'm going to go up by 4 inches, and then I'm also going to be using my curve this way. So on the sides, I'm going to be measuring what I have here from the armhole to the waistline. Remember that the half length for the front is different from that of the back. So here I have 6.5. So I'm going to measure what I have here for the back also. So from the armhole to the waistline, I have 5 inches here. So that means I have a difference of 1.5. So this 1.5, I'm going to come on my bust point and measure 1.5. And then I'm going to be connecting it towards the bust point line this way. So this is going to be my side dart. So before I close up this side dart, I'm going to be marking the allowance, my seam allowance, which is 1.5 inches. So I'm going to mark 1.5 inches all the way around. And then I'm going to be reconnecting this with my curves. And I'm going to extend it into the seam allowance this way. So now I can go ahead to cut out the pattern. So now I'm going to be working on the side dart. So on this dart here, I'm going to split it from the lower part and then take it up onto the bust point line. You can see the way I am doing it here. So I'm going to place it this way, and then I'm going to be taping it down. So now I'm just going to reconstruct the line. You can see that the line has shifted, so I'm just going to redraw the line to connect to the chest line. So now I can go ahead and cut this out. So this way our side is going to be equal with that of the back. So this is going to be the center front and the side front. So this is going to be all for the drafting of this blouse. This video is already long, so I'm going to be uploading the sewing tutorial. So don't forget to like, subscribe, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye.